Thank you very much. My name is Graham Downs. I'm President and CEO of ATAC Resources. We're located up in the Yukon. Most of you know us as developing Canada's only Carlin district in the Yukon. We also have some copper. We've got silver and zinc. We actually have a 185 kilometer long polymetallic belt. I've been working up in the Yukon since 1995, so well over 20 years. It's an incredibly great place to work with an incredible amount of mineral potential. Before I get started, I'd just like to acknowledge the Honorable Sandy Silver, the Premier of the Yukon, who's here in support of mineral exploration and mining in the Yukon, so thank you very much. So we'll take you through this here. Might be making some forward-looking statements, so I'll give you a chance to read that. And here we are, just a quick capital structure. We started this company in 2002. We've never consolidated the company. We have 158 million shares outstanding. Barrick is a very large shareholder. Tocqueville Gold Fund out of the US is a large shareholder as well as a Strategic Metals, which is a sister company in our group of companies. Agnico Eagle is also a minor shareholder, around 2 to 3%. And we have cash. We've got about 14 million, and this year we plan to spend about 4 million in phase one. So here's our project. It's a very large project. You can see it's 185 kilometers long. It's a mineralized belt, if you will. We found Carlin-style mineralization in 2010. What initially got us in there was the Tiger deposit at the western end. We're going to be focusing this year on the western end because we're working on getting our final approval for the road into the western end. It's conditionally approved now. We're going through some land use planning, and we expect a decision there in early 2020. So the project is royalty-free, and with the way it works in the Yukon, we don't have to pay annual payments to keep the claims in good standing because we have so much assessment from the work we've done over the years. So here's a zoom in on that western end where the road leads to the Tiger deposit. Again, that Tiger deposit is what initially got us in there in 2006 and 2007. We drilled that for a few years, and then we went out to the east to the Carlin-style mineralization that we found. The thing here is we never really spent much more time between 2010 and 2019 in this area. But it's a host to a lot of mineralization, and we think low-hanging fruit, and we think the companies are getting rewarded for discoveries, and we think we have one right under our nose here. So that's where we'll be putting our money this year. So when you look at that, you can see the Tiger Gold deposit there. Again, that's almost 485,000 ounces measured and indicated, and almost 200 at inferred. It's high-grade oxide. There's room for that one to grow. We're not going to drill that, though, but that's going to be our initial. It's high grade, probably high margin, so we'll work on that first. What we're going to be focusing on this year is the Bobcat, which you see on the eastern end of that slide. We've only spent about a week of work out there doing some pitting and sampling, but we're getting very high-grade gold and copper. There's an intrusion just to the west of that near the Hogsback. So we've got a buried intrusion with skarn mineralization around it and potential for a gold porphyry. So a big plumbing system here that really has not been tested. So we're going to be going after a high-grade copper-gold story this year. Here, zooming into that Bobcat, I think you can tell that we're getting 6 grams gold, 7% copper, 7 grams gold, almost 6% copper there. Again, you can tell that there's been lots of soil sampling, but really no drilling in this area. And we'll be going in there and doing about 4,000 meters of drilling. We're going to be doing 12 square kilometers of IP and ground mag, and followed up with trenching, prospecting, and mapping, and then ultimately 4,000 meters of drilling. And that's just phase one. When we tag something, we're going to be able to ramp that up and really accelerate our program. This is what it's all about. This is what exploration is all about. You can see right in the middle of that screen there where it's kind of bare. That's a naturally occurring kill zone where the minerals in the soil are not allowing the vegetation to grow. We did about 5 days of pitting in this area. Great gold numbers, 3, 6, 5, 2 grams gold. great 3.7, 3.2% copper, nice silver numbers as well there. We also get really nice zinc, really high-grade tin as well. And we really don't know too much about this, but the IP is really going to help us kind of zone in on this. It'll help us, the mag will help us better understand the intrusion in the area. As an explorationist, you go running out there, and that 9-gram grab that we got in 2018, I mean, you go out, there's quite a bit of overburden, or a thin veneer of it, but there's no exposure of rock, and you get to dig up a soil pit, and you get these little eggs of copper and high-grade gold goodness, and really we don't know where it's coming from, but it doesn't look like it's coming far, just the way that it's angular, and it's going to be an exciting year. So we'll be setting up a RAB drill right on top of that showing, and then ultimately diamond drilling after we've gone through the geophysics and help us zone in. Again, for those, this is a classic kind of conceptual model. You can see all of our targets on top there. We've drill confirmed the carbonate replacement at the Ocelot, silver, lead, zinc, the Tiger carbonate replacement, gold, silver. We're going to go after the skarn mineralization around that Pluton. And then last question, does that, do we have a porphyry gold or porphyry gold copper deposit or mineralization in the area? So that's kind of briefly what we're doing on the western end. We did put out our maiden resource on the Osiris, the Carlin-style mineralization, so we'll just kind of zoom in on that. You can see the Orion and the Osiris on the eastern end. Orion was under option to Barrick for 2 years. After the Randgold, they terminated that option. After the Randgold deal they did with Barrick, they dropped that option. We put out our maiden resource on Osiris, which was almost 1.7 million grams at 4 grams. 1.7 million ounces inferred at just over 4 grams. And that's just to start. All of those zones that are out there are open for expansion. Just some key metrics on that. For every meter we drilled, we got about 21 ounces of gold, $32 Canadian discovery cost per ounce. And we have one of the highest grade open pit resources in North America. So a really, really good start for that area. There it is a little bit up close. You've got the Conrad, Osiris, Sunrise, and Ibis zone. Again, as you can see, there's a lot of potential around there. We've got lots of surface gold mineralization, and really it's just a lack of drilling that hasn't allowed us to expand it, and we'll get there. Just the cost of capital in these markets, it's better just to focus on something that's going to be closer to infrastructure and also have high grade and include the copper as well. Just something to show you that there is exploration potential. This is one of our holes, was almost 10 grams over 23 meters. And you can see how that zone is kind of a V. That's just lack of drilling. So that one hole at the bottom there is about a 100-meter step out. So lots of real estate there to grow that resource. And the work that Barrick did, we have to acknowledge that. They put in about 16 holes last year. Most of it was focused on the northern fault. But the 4 holes that they did drill on the Anubis fault, all 4 of those holes hit gold mineralization over a 2.5 kilometer area. And the next slide will show you that bottom line in the Anubis cluster there, which is called the Anubis fault. And here, I mean, you got to keep the scale in mind here. It's 2.5 kilometers from the right-hand side of the screen to the left. All of the numbers you see there are highlighted in yellow. You know, you've got 7 grams over 10 meters, 10 over 7, 7 over 4. You know, those top 2 ones on the top right, that's 300 meters behind those holes, between those holes at 19 grams over 8.5 meters. So what this really needs is systematic drilling. Maybe, you know, just start off with about 12 holes in between, and you can probably prove out quite a few, some more ounces. You got to be careful there. So why invest in an ATAC? I mean, you know, we have a royalty-free belt of mineralization. We were going to be doing a pretty robust program. We'll be ready to increase that. We think we have a chance for copper gold discovery near infrastructure. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's going to be another exciting year for ATAC, so thank you for coming and learning a bit more.